Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, we'll take a look at the dynamic between Scorpion versus Sledgehammers. Alright, let's go. Okay, at the bottom here, I'm playing as a Rhino Specialist. My opponent, Ender Fog, playing as a Quick Supply Specialist. I started off with Sledgehammer, Sabertooth, and Arclight. It's a pretty solid comp, and starting off with Rhino is actually one of my favorite comps to start. The Rhino gives you a huge boost, and you never know where the Rhino is going to be. My opponent has a quick supply, started off with balls and fans. And on top of that, he added 2 squads of sledgehammers. And immediately there's a problem with my comp because the Sabertooth is not very good against both sledgehammers nor steel balls. The fire rate is just a little too slow to pick up all this unit before they get destroyed. And surprisingly, I'm doing pretty decent in the first round. Most of the steel balls didn't get their chance to connect. And this Saber is getting pretty lucky with his timing as well. Alright, we're going to get into round 2 here. We got some cards. Normally, a Vulcan would be a pretty good game to play into Sledgehammers. But since there's already Steel Ball on the field, I feel like Vulcan is a little bit risky. But it's a decent choice. Not sure about Assault Vulcan though. The problem with Assault Vulcan is that if my opponent takes EM, then your range is simply not enough, right? So you actually need to kill his tanks before your Vulcans get EM'd. I ended up taking Laser Sight because I wanted to use this on a future unit, that is the Scorpion. And my opponent decided to skip. 2 more squads of tanks on round 2, bringing up to a total of 4. And let's take a look at his Bard. His Sledgehammers are almost entirely carry tanks. There's no slot wasted for it to do any sort of defensive maneuver. Everything is to increase his maximum firepower. Added a Arclight on the left-hand side and 2 squads of Quallers. The reason for that is last turn I had these steel balls reaching my tower, which was quite disadvantageous. I am still about a turn away from pivoting into Scorpion, so all I needed to do this turn is just to survive. And right now, about the only thing that can really kill my Sabertooth is the Steel Ball, and as long as I can keep some of my Sabertooth alive, even if I don't win this round, I should have a pretty minimal damage taken. Okay, we've got the line of sledges coming in. Some of these are very close to leveling, which is always a problem with sledges. Sledges is one of those units that scale really well. Once you get through level 3, it's very difficult to stop, because once you hit level 4, you will need to have level 2 Scorpions. Alright, we got round 3, we got Underground. Immediately I took Underground. It's such a big opportunity, especially for sledges on the line. My opponent, I'm going to guess probably is also on the ground. I couldn't remember what happened in-game, but I thought the haste module was pretty sweet on the sledgy because they needed all the damage they can get. But underground also makes sense. One of the biggest problems with sledgehammers is that their chaff clear is never going to be as good as, let's say, Arclights or Vulcans. Yes, they can take Mech Rage, and yes, it will bring their chaff clear to be sort of a decent level, but for 200 cost, it could be so much better. Like a Sledgy is the same cost as a Spider, but the Spider can kill chaff a little bit faster, but with HE on the Spider, it just kills it like 4 times as fast. Alright, I sold one of my Sabertooth and start swapping them with Scorpions. The key for fighting into a sledge line like this, right now where you have 6 tanks on the field, the key is to stop them from leveling. And you accomplish by doing 2 things. One is you get units that can kill them quickly, and Scorpion is the perfect counter to Sledgehammers. And then 2, you get unit that can withstand a lot of punishment, and Scorpion also fit that role. I had a very good tower timing here. I knew there was probably not going to be a lot of units on the side, because I only had a single Arclight defending. So I have my underground over here. The most obvious spot for underground is probably in the middle because my opponent had units on the left, units on the right, but I was banking on the fact that there's not going to be steel balls, or even if there is, the underground is going to kill the steel ball. But I got really lucky and ended up getting tower. And this is huge. Like, this is a huge round 3 for me because it prevents some of these sledges from leveling. If I didn't have the tower at this point, the sledges would have all leveled. All right, we got our first unit drop. Mustang is a great option. For my opponent, Phoenix is a great option. I took the Mustangs because I was afraid of Phoenix and also the Wraith. I'm not particularly afraid of Typhoons because I already have Scorpions. I think my opponent is thinking the same. He doesn't have any AA to speak of. But if he took the Phoenix, I could have... Like, if I were to Phoenix's backside, his Phoenix would have taken care of me. So instead, it's going to be Mustangs for both of us, and it is round 4, which is time for level 2 Rhino. It is a very tanky unit, so a level 2 Mustang is going to take a little bit of time to shoot at it. Scorpion got range this turn. No range on the arc light, though. And the reason for that is every time you want to invest into something, for example, you want to invest into chaff clear, you have to invest in accordance to the board. So in this case, the board does not have chaff. It has like 3 squads of fans and some Mustangs, but it has like 8 squads of sledgy. So I need to make sure that my Scorpions survive as long as I possibly can in order to kill all the sledgies. So now the sledgy actually take time to walk towards my Scorpion, which is exactly what I need them to do. All right, Rhino getting a tower. I mean, this is such a chunky boy. So much HP. All right. And here's where things gets a little scary. First of all, card drop, laser sight, no questions asked. It's going to go on one of these Scorpions. The question is which one? It's going to be one on the outside. Why outside? Why not the Scorpion in the center or even on the side? Well, the Scorpion needs to survive because we have all the sledges leveled. Kind of scary. I was debating selling the Rhino at this point because I know my opponent already has steel balls unlocked, so he could have easily just added steel balls to deal with my Rhino. But historically, a Rhino spec sells the Rhino on round 5, so I was hoping that my opponent is hoping that I sell the Rhino. So a bit of a reverse psychology here. I decided not to sell the Rhino at round 5 and see what I can get. If my opponent didn't prepare for the Rhino, which he didn't, this would be really good because the Rhino can kill these Mustangs even harder. If my opponent did predict the Rhino staying and added steel balls, he wasted 1 deployment and he has to sell that, right? So it's pretty good for me as well. So there's no, I mean, the downside is not that big. And also I didn't have any units I particularly needed to buy that turn. I think that was mostly a chaff round for me. If I were to buy like 2 more or 1 more extra Scorpion, I just needed that money, I would have sold the Rhino, but there was no reason for me to. I had enough Scorpions to deal with the tanks currently on the board. And having that Rhino there, it was just such a huge threat. And getting tower is just a very juicy maneuver. Alright, now we got these level 2 Scorpions. Lots of tanks, though. Very scary. Lots of damage coming out. The good thing with Scorpions, though, is that every Scorpion counts as 300 HP. So you can quickly bring down your opponent's HP. Alright, we got another unit drop. Hounds are pretty juicy. Wraith is also pretty good. If you get the Wraith, then there's the Blue Man squad here, right, with the 4 Blue Men. Kind of scary. My opponent took the Hound. The Hound is not terrific into Scorpions because the Hound is also a medium-sized unit, right? 5 bodies, so the Scorpion could possibly 1-shot if not 2-shot. But the Hounds do have the fire ability, so it can clear my front line very efficiently. Hot dogs are all the rage these days, but I find the best way against hot dogs is just put down missile interceptors, AMDs. I mean, in the past I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should just get AM on the Mustangs, but these aren't sustained missile fire, right? These are just the one-offs. And especially if they're putting them at the front, they are literally one-offs because the hounds were not survived long enough for that second volley. So all you needed to do is to have AMDs in front of every single hound. You have to have it every single hound, otherwise it's not going to catch all the fire. And you're good to go. It cost them 300 to get the fire. More if you have to unlock the hounds themselves. And for us, the investment is just 1 per hound. So in this case, I'll spend 400. But that AMD is going to stay and it can prevent other things in the future. For example, if you want to go melter, you can prevent those. If you want to go storms, you can prevent those. If there's a boat, the AMD works as well. But this turn, because it's the first turn, I wasn't expecting fire because I don't believe the hounds are a good unit into scorpions. Alright, level 3 Wraith doing his thing. Pretty good. And at here I was like, maybe I can get him down to like 86 HP if all my stuff survive. But no, there's still quite a few units left over. And the problem with this scorpion is just, yeah, this one, not the crawler, but the sledgehammers, then they're not leveling. Okay, so now the sledgy has 3 out of the 4 damage dealing techs. This last one, the armor piercing bullet, 200% increase in attack is huge. And of course, you're sacrificing 30% on your chaff clearing abilities, but every shot that you land on a scorpion counts for 3 shots, which is really good. All right, getting down to 986. We got some options here. Additional deployment is really good here. Why additional deployment? Why not any of the others? My opponent just took armor piercing bullets, which means its chaff clear has just gotten 30% worse. Well, I don't know if that's the exact math. The increase attack speed by 30%, I don't know if it directly correlates to 30% worse, but worse, okay? So I needed to get my chaff going, and here I did a misclick. I was clicking on arc lights trying to get range, and I misclicked on the fangs, and I gave them range. So that's kind of a problem, but not a terrible problem, because now the fangs will just stay exactly where they are, and they're actually contributing a little bit to the fire. Like, I can kill his fangs, I can kill his fire dogs, right? I can do some of that. I added oil here because I noticed this is where the most chaff concentrated areas. We got mustangs, we got crawlers, and all that stuff. And I put hounds here with my own fire. It is very expensive, but I was so sure this is gonna work because his hound is just gonna shoot, and I'm going to log on to it, and I'm gonna have a little pool of fire, right? No problem. I've also taken the drill on underground. At round 7, you can expect your opponent, if they're good, to take probably drill or replicate. So you don't want to fall behind on that technology. But the saddest thing, my hound did fire the missile, but it did not ignite the oil. I was so devastated while I was in this game. The underground exchange went pretty well. I still have quite a few scorpions left. However, I don't have any chaff clear. So some of these trickling in crawlers, they're just doing so much damage. And all my AMDs, that was a hefty investment. I think I put down 4 AMDs, and then I spent another 400 getting a hound with fire. Neither of them really work. I mean, the AMD worked, but now they're getting destroyed. So this was a very costly round for me. And this is where things get a little scary, because once your sledges get to level 4, you need to either consider leveling up. So a good thing I already have level 3 scorpions, but it is quite scary. All right, we got 2 boats. That's a potential threat. We also have a bunch of units that you can sell. I'm going to go with steel balls as like a cheeky play and just kind of put it in the corner and see what happens. My opponent decided to go with the cell of the Sabertooth. And just more tanks, right? More tanks. I put my steel balls on the side because I was hoping the Mustangs would just target this guy. He has no tag on the Mustangs, so I don't expect him to level them anytime soon. It's just gonna go forward. And finally, I got the money to buy shielded fangs, and these fangs are going to do quite a lot of work, I think. Alright, I got 600 left over. I need to put down my AMDs, otherwise I am going to get burned. My opponent decided to deep flank me with 2 squads of tanks on either side. But the problem though, is that these tanks take time to get in, and my crawlers have drills on them, so they can actually do quite a lot of damage to the tanks. This is a risky move. I don't think this is the right move. I would much prefer having these tanks in the back line here, just contribute to the damage. Like, you really don't need to distract these crawlers and the Mustangs. And I don't think the tanks can move fast enough to get to tower, so we're gonna have to see. Alright, the steel balls getting completely destroyed, and that's okay. That allows my units to actually target the tanks nice and early, which is a bonus. My shielded fans, they're really doing a lot of work at the front. I mean, they're still clearing them up. I've already cleared one of the flanks. The other one is almost done, but yeah, it's not quite. We've got 2 tanks left over. Not a big deal. We still got a full line of scorpions. Sure, we got some pretty scary, what is it, level 3 tanks. This is level 4 with a laser sight. Kind of scary. But not against 2 level 3 scorpions. Gets the tower. 900. He probably can kill 1 more scorpion, and that's about it. Yeah, and if he couldn't kill this scorpion, which he won't, and that's going to be GG. Nope, not, no, whoa, wait. Yeah, that's GG. I was going to say, wait, that's 2. Okay, so what do we learn here? We learned that if the sledgies are coming in strong like this, like by round 3, he's got, no, round 2, he's got four squads of tanks, and all his tanks run like carry tanks. You have to respond with round 3 Scorpion. Like, if I didn't sell the Scorpion by round 3 and I kept the Sabertooth, these tanks would have gained that extra level. And I think that tower timing was absolutely critical. It's all about the levels. Once you get to a certain level, even your Scorpions can't handle them. The missed click on the Fangs was pretty costly. The fire round was pretty hurtful, but I feel like everything else seems pretty okay. He had the opportunity of going boats. So the play would be, if he knew he was going to put tanks on the side, he could have put boats at the front while he's tying up the units with these guys. And the boats hopefully can lock onto one of these scorpions and kill them before the Mustangs come over. He doesn't really need to worry about Mustangs because my only anti-air are just these 2 squads of Mustangs, and they don't have range, which means they will run ahead of the scorpions and get annihilated by these sledgehammers. So I really think he could had an opportunity of getting into Sledgebow, which is a powerful comp in its own right. All right, I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you want to see another one, here's one for you, and I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.